Good evening, and thank you for watching ECSO News on Blab TV, where facts matter. I'm Sergeant Melanie Peterson.
And I'm Amber Southard. Let's take a look at our top trending stories. We need your help identifying different suspects involved in crimes throughout Escambia County, including a home invasion and 4 armed robberies. On May 28th at 3:15 p.m., this suspect committed an armed robbery at the Speed Mart convenience store on Highway 29 in Cantonment. The suspect was last seen at the apartments located on Batson Lane and Pauline Street. During the robbery, the suspect wore a black hoodie, black pants with a red and white design, sunglasses, and a white mask. On May 1st, these suspects walked into the Motel 6 on Pensacola Boulevard wearing masks. They then pointed a gun at the clerk and demanded money. DeQuavius Tyrell Brown was identified as one of the suspects and was arrested for larceny and robbery with a firearm. Now, we need your help identifying the second suspect, who was wearing the black hoodie. On May 13th, this suspect committed an armed robbery at the Claren Hotel on Pensacola Boulevard. The man in these photos also tried to enter Studio 6 Motel, Palm Court Inn, and Faneras Brothers Restaurant. He was last seen walking northbound on Pensacola Boulevard wearing a white button-up shirt, board shorts, and dark-colored shoes. During the armed robbery, he wore a bandana over his face while pointing a handgun. On May 22nd, around 8:15 a.m., this suspect stole a Galaxy Note 5 cell phone with a pink case from the Walmart on Pensacola Boulevard. On May 21st, around 6 a.m., this suspect siphoned gas from several vehicles at Center Florida Auto Sales car lot on Olive Road. On May 28th, ECSO deputies responded to the Grocery Advantage located on Lillian Highway for an attempted robbery. The suspects in this picture walked up to the cashier and demanded money, then pulled a knife from his pocket. The cashier did not comply with the demand. The suspect then left the store in a gray 4-door sedan. He is also believed to be responsible for a robbery at the Dollar General on Lillian Highway earlier that evening. And on February 25th, 2 male suspects committed an armed home invasion at the 200 block of Gilland Road. The suspects wore masks, gloves, and pointed a gun at the victim while demanding items. If you have any information about these suspects in any of these photos or videos, call Crime Stoppers at 433-STOP or the ECSO at 436-9620.
ECSO deputies saved an accident victim using an AED. John C. wrote these comments about 2 deputies who saved his sister-in-law's life last month. Huge thanks to Deputy Sheriff Horn and Deputy Sheriff Trainee Fox and to the Escambia County Sheriff's Office. Lydia was in a car accident on Sunday, May the 20th, and a family found her, pulled her from her car, and called 911. Upon getting the call about the accident, these officers rushed over and used an AED to save my sister-in-law's life. They told us they don't often get to see the results of their efforts, but they were able to drop by and see living proof they are doing an amazing job. Thanks, guys, for everything you do. Lydia Dosh is home now, resting and recovering. She shared this via email. Thank you for all your hard work and dedication to keeping people safe. We are pleased to announce that all 5 suspects involved in April 28th Wedgwood Community Center shooting have been arrested. Brian Johnson, Martin Hendricks, Shaquille Calhoun, and Tyreek Turner were all arrested for their involvement in the shooting.
2 deputies knock on a door with an unusual request. Deputy Alvarez surprised 16-year-old Jacob Weekly at his house after he saw Jacob ride past him and Deputy Bursett on one of his tall bikes. "Nice bike, dude," were not the words that Jacob thought the deputies were going to say to him as he came outside to meet them. He thought they were mad at him because Jacob had filmed them earlier. That wasn't the case. Deputy Alvarez asked Jacob if he could ride the bike. Jacob tried to show him how to run and jump on it, but Alvarez's gear wouldn't allow it, so he had to use his vehicle. Deputy Alvarez pedaled along for 10 seconds before getting off, throwing a big thumbs up in the air for all of those to see. Jacob created the tall bike himself by fusing 2 bicycles together and has made others. Thanks, Jacob, for letting our deputies ride your tall bike.
Our July 26th Citizens Law Enforcement Academy is filling up fast. The 8-week class, it begins on July 26th from 5 to 9 p.m. at the Administrative Building of the Sheriff's Office located at 1700 West Leonard Street. Complimentary meals are provided for attendees. The Citizens Law Enforcement Academy is a great opportunity to meet, interact, and learn from the men and women of your Escambia County Sheriff's Office. All this with the goal of citizens and law enforcement working together to reduce crime and to make Escambia County a safe place to work and worship and live. Sign up early to attend on our website at escambiaso.com.
Connie Bookman, Madrina Ciano, and Laura Bogan from the Blue Angels Foundation stopped by the office to thank the ECSO for our partnership with Mission Transition. The May Mission Transition event benefited Pathways for Change's Clinton Cox Residence for Female Veterans. Pathways for Change Chief Executive Officer Connie Bookman presented Chief Deputy Chip Simmons with a Blue Angels Foundation coin. To learn more about Mission Transition, visit their website at missiontransitionpensacola.com.
The Escambia County Sheriff's Office is offering a free training opportunity to help places of worship consider the security needs of their facilities and operations. The training is designed for anyone responsible for the safety of their place of worship and will help attendees to understand the challenges and needs of worship security. The goal is to make the process of creating a secure environment easier, less expensive, and more effective. The next class will be held at the Escambia County Sheriff's Office at 1700 West Leonard Street on Tuesday, July 31st at 5:30 p.m. Seating is limited. To secure a seat, please complete a registration form at escambiaso.com. The Escambia County Sheriff's Office and Brownsville Church teamed up earlier this month by participating in a farm share event. Together, we handed out nearly 30,000 pounds of food. Citizens received fresh fruit and vegetables, a whole chicken, canned food, sandwich meat, and bread.
So these businessmen started this nonprofit called Farm Share, and they take this produce, they have a warehouse just outside of Tallahassee, 18-wheeler trucks, and deliver it to needy communities such as Brownsville.
And we want to be part of our community, and when you have people that we can team up with, like Brownsville Assembly, and you can see the people behind me, people have come from all walks of life to come here to help, and then we have people waiting, those that are in need. It gives us the opportunity to interact with the community and to work with other agencies and doing what's right for the community.
Arrested for drug trafficking. On June 1st, the ECSO's Narcotics Unit conducted a drug investigation involving 38-year-old Destiny Monique Hobson at the Extended Stay Hotel located in the 3900 block of Barrancas Avenue. During the investigation, Hobson was found to be in possession of 900 grams of methamphetamine, 11 grams of fentanyl, 17 grams of a mixture of fentanyl and heroin, 20 grams of black tar heroin, cocaine, several Loratab pills, and several Xanax pills. The street value of the drugs that were seized is more than $130,000. Hobson was charged with possession of cocaine with the intent to distribute, 2 counts of possession of controlled substance without a prescription, trafficking in heroin, trafficking in fentanyl, and trafficking in methamphetamine.
West Pensacola Elementary brings in ECSO and Fire Department to play kickball. The Escambia County Sheriff's Office played kickball against 3rd and 4th graders at West Pensacola Elementary on their last day of school. Chief Deputy Chip Simmons, Commander Jackson, Major Hobbs, Major Ingram, Sergeant Beach, myself, and the accreditation coordinator, Cole Chancellor, had a great time playing 4 different teams throughout the morning. The kids and deputies brought their A games. It was a great morning filled with smack talk, laughter, and fun.
The ECSO made 3 arrests in connection with an Atmore, Alabama death investigation. On June 3rd, 2 men were found shot in Atmore, Alabama. Dalton Davis was found deceased inside a truck in Bushy Creek, and the other victim was found near Deer Creek Road, where he was transported to a local hospital. During the investigation, it was determined that the shootings took place in a home located on the 5900 block of Highway 164 in Walnut Hill. Christopher James Logan Stacy, Alexis Schiffner Kane, and Christopher Allen Stacy have all been arrested and charged with homicide and attempted homicide.
Here's this week's episode of Crime Tip Tuesday.
I'm Chief Deputy Chip Simmons, and welcome to Crime Tip Tuesday. If you think you're being followed, don't drive home. Go to the nearest police station or fire station and honk your horn. Or drive to an open gas station or other business where you can safely call the police. Don't leave your car unless you are certain you can get inside the building safely. Try to obtain the driver's license number and description of the car that's following you. This has been a tip from your Escambia County Sheriff's Office.
Our many thanks to everyone who came out for our Cops and Kids Spring Festival. Our school resource officers had a great time meeting everyone. A big thank you to our Escambia County Mounted Posse and K-9 units. Both performed demonstrations throughout the day. Thank you to the ECSO Explorers for helping set up fingerprint children, help with the games, and tear down after the event was over. Our training unit, along with the Explorers, cooked and served up complimentary hot dogs and hamburgers for everyone. Kids had fun in our crime scene units, learning lab, and then got to explore the SWAT Bearcat. Our face painting booth was busy creating tons of superheroes.
The intent was to have law enforcement interact with kids in a very fun setting. And what I hear from parents and grandparents and even from the kids, they're surprised that the police officers actually want to be their friends. They want to be, friendly with them. They want to play games with them, because we want them to look at us as not law enforcement officers necessarily, but fathers, grandfathers, brothers, and sisters, of course. We want them to see us as who we actually are, and that's, parts of their community.
Meet this week's newest Dirty Dozen member. This is our Warrants Unit Top 12 Most Wanted Fugitives. Tardarian Maurice Rushing. Rushing is wanted for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, domestic battery by strangulation, battery 2 counts, larceny, grand theft of a motor vehicle, burglary, and damage to property, criminal mischief. So help us locate him. He sounds like one of our Wheel of Fugitive winners, like he should be on the wheel too.
We do.
Yeah, if you have any information on the whereabouts of Rushing or any of the Dirty Dozen, contact the ECSO at 436-9620 or Gulf Coast Crime Stoppers at 433-STOP. If your tip leads to an arrest, you may be eligible for a cash reward of up to $3,000.
Speaking of Crime Stoppers, we need your help locating the people in this week's Crime Stopper segment. Our first featured fugitive is Colton Gonzalez. He's 22 years of age and is wanted for failure to appear for contributing to the delinquency of a minor and possession of a controlled substance without a prescription. Gonzalez has no bond.
My goodness.
Now, how can he contribute to the delinquency when he's delinquent?
I know. He's just sharing. All his bad ideas are going out there. If you're listening to this, please stop. Come on down to 1700 West Leonard Street.
Yeah, it's not.
Let us know. He's messing with the youth now.
Yeah, not too late to stop the insanity, Colton. You're only 22.
You know better.
Next is Zainab El Said. She is 33 years of age and she is wanted for violation of probation for child neglect. El Said has no bond. Child neglect, really?
We don't. There's certain things we just don't handle well, and child neglect is definitely one. So if you know Zainab, give us a call.
She's just neglectful. She's
That's
neglected a child, and she's also neglected to fulfill the terms of her probation.
Well, hopefully we can stop that neglect because somebody else is going to call and turn her in.
That's right. Next up is Juan Thing Lee. He's 55 years of age and he is wanted for sex offender violations for failing to register. Lee is also a member of Warrants Dirty Dozen Top 12 and Most Wanted Fugitives. Lee has no bond.
Let me tell you, if you make both of those lists, it's pretty bad.
Absolutely.
If you're on the Dirty Dozen and on this show and on the Wheel of Fugitives and on our Wanted Fugitive show.
Them are not the clubs you want to be a membership.
No.
You don't want to have membership to those 3 clubs. But
you should get the picture. We're looking for you. We're going to find you. So if you're at
Absolutely.
home and you know where Mr. Lee is hanging out at, please give us a call. Let's go ahead. You can make some money doing that.
That's right. And like she said, if you know the whereabouts of any of our featured fugitives, contact Crime Stoppers, folks, at 433-STOP or go online to p3tips.com. All of our tips are 100% anonymous. If your tip leads to a fugitive's arrest, you could be eligible for a cash reward of up to $3,000. Remember, everybody, crime doesn't pay, but we do.
Right here from your Escambia County Sheriff's Office, we present you with
Wheel of Fugitives!
I can't wait to find out.
Me neither. This week's winner is Stanley Leffel. He's 52 years old, Amber. He's wanted for violation of probation for burglary of an unoccupied structure, grand theft, and grand theft of an automobile, and he has no bond.
I imagine with charges like that, we really don't like hearing anything like that here in
No.
Escambia County. No, no, no. Please help us do the right thing and turn him in if you recognize him, Or Stanley, you can do the right thing yourself and turn yourself in. 1700 West Leonard Street, that's where you can do that. If not, the people at home will help us out. Tell them how they can do so.
That's right. You folks, anybody out there knows where Stanley's at, call Crime Stoppers at 433-STOP. If he's arrested based off your information, you could earn a reward of up to $3,000. It's like Amber and I always say, crime doesn't pay, but we do.
Yes, it is Wanted Wednesday at the Escambia County Sheriff's Office. Thank you for watching. You heard them. It's time for Will of Fugitives. We have our guest host, Madrina Ciano. She is going to spin the wheel with Sergeant Peterson and I today. So let's go ahead, Madrina, give it a spin.
All right, here I go. Ready?
Yeah. You must have ate your Wheaties.
I did.
All right, this week's winner is Shirley Harbison. She's 46 years old. She's wanted for grand theft, dealing in stolen property with a bond of $5,000.
Shirley, come on now. We can take a better mugshot of you. Let me tell you where you need to go. 1700 West Leonard Street. Do the right thing. Turn yourself in. We'll have somebody down in the front office waiting for you. If you don't, the people at home are going to help us out, and our prize patrol will be looking for you. Melanie, tell them how they can do so.
That's right. We'll call Crime Stoppers at 433-STOP. If you know where Shirley is at, give us her location. Once she's arrested based off your information, you could earn a reward of up to $3,000. And it's like Amber and I always say, crime doesn't pay,
but we do.
do.
Thank you for joining in. We appreciate it.
I've been waiting for that moment. I have been waiting for that moment, and I feel like I have contributed to putting Shirley behind bars.
That's right.
Call to action. If you have any tips, call in now. Thank you for tuning in to Rolling with Madrina.
We need your help locating the people in this week's Missing Persons segment. Our first missing juvenile is 14-year-old Antonio Kershawn Thompson. It's unknown what he was wearing when he was last seen. Thompson was reported missing on May 10th. Our next missing juvenile is 17-year-old Gabrielle Vivian Young. Young was last seen leaving her residence on May 2nd, wearing all black with a pink jacket, gray fuzzy boots, and a beige purse with pink trim. 18-year-old Adonis Unique Sadler was last seen leaving his home on a bicycle, wearing a white t-shirt and blue jean shorts on May 17th. Our last missing juvenile is 16-year-old Alexis Deshaw Miles. Miles was last seen leaving her home wearing a white blouse and black jeans on May 25th. If you have any information on any of these missing people, contact the ECSO at 436-9620.
I'm Escambia County Sheriff David Morgan, and thank you for watching Ask the Sheriff. This is your chance to ask me any questions you want answered about the ECSO. Our team hits the streets again, and here are some of the questions you asked. We have a question from one of our followers as to what is the difference between an Escambia County deputy and a Pensacola police officer. Well, the main difference is in jurisdictions. Both officers, whether they're with the PPD or the Escambia County Sheriff's Office, all meet the same kind of service criteria, meaning they must complete an approved academy, they must pass the Florida Department of Law Enforcement test for certification to be a law enforcement officer in the state of Florida, and then you hire in with a respective agency. So those qualifications are equivalent across the board. The issue is jurisdiction, which is a large one, by the way. Most folks don't know that there is no statutory requirement to have a police department in any place in Florida, meaning that conceivably the mayor and the city council could meet tonight and say, you know, we can no longer afford to have a police department, and they could literally disband the Pensacola Police Department. Now, that's an example in the extreme, but that's entirely possible, and it could be done here locally. No one can do that with the sheriff or the office of sheriff. Why? Because we're what's referred to as a constitutional office, meaning that we're in the Florida Constitution, and we're governed by the statutes that you must have a sheriff in each county within the state of Florida, and there's 67. So now we get to the jurisdiction issues. My jurisdiction is the sheriff of Escambia County, and all the deputies that act in my behalf, They are in essence sheriffs because I swear them in as deputy sheriffs. Our jurisdiction is everywhere, within the city limits of Pensacola to the farthest reaches of up in Century. Any place you want to go in the county, our officers can enforce the statutes and the ordinances and the laws, if you will, of the state of Florida and Escambia County specifically. It is not so, I repeat, it is not so with members of the Pensacola Police Department. They have jurisdiction only to the city limits or where they're specifically addressed to, like they also run the airport police. Those are members of the Pensacola Police Department. But their jurisdiction ends at the city limits. So in order for them to enforce the laws outside of that jurisdiction, it has to be under certain exigent circumstances. A hot pursuit is the one that people usually describe the most, meaning that if a crime occurs in the city, an officer is in hot pursuit of a suspect who is leaving the city limits, they have the statutory authority to, again, follow that individual and go on and enforce or enact an arrest in that situation. Otherwise, they have to stop at the city limits, come to the Escambia County Sheriff, and working through the courts and the state attorney's office will obtain the appropriate warrants. And we serve warrants, again, throughout the county, anywhere in the city or the county. So there's a huge difference there. We're also charged with court security within the courtroom, meaning all the bailiffs are sworn officers from the Escambia County Sheriff's Office. As a matter of fact, the Florida statutes clearly designate me as the elected sheriff is also the executive officer of the court system in the First Judicial Circuit. So we again have some very definitive differences between a sheriff's office and a Pensacola Police Department. Hopefully that explains the primary difference, and it's one of jurisdiction. Our jurisdiction's everywhere in the county. Again, and to make it short, synopsis of this, the Pensacola Police Department ends at the city limits of Pensacola. Anthony asked the questions about what do you go through, the steps that you have to go through to become a deputy or a law enforcement officer. Well, Anthony, you can go online, go to escambiaso.com, and there's an employment section there in one of the drop-down boxes, and you can pull that down and it'll step you through the entire process. It'll tell you the age requirements, the background investigation, polygraph, that sort of thing. All the steps that you'll have to go through and successfully complete to get hired at the Escambia County Sheriff's Office. Of course, that also applies to, again, completion of the police academy, which is taught through the public education system out at George Stone. That's an academy that you have to go through. Classes are conducted at night. Sometimes we commission a day class, to kind of shorten the time in its 8 hours. We also have programs where we will actually pay for your law enforcement academy. So go to escambiaso.com, pull it down. Some of that criteria changes on occasion, so we try to keep that updated. But thank you for your interest in becoming a law enforcement officer. I have a question about when there's a law enforcement response. The citizen called in and said there was an apartment complex near them that appears to have an inordinate amount of calls to that area. And so how do we basically find out what's going on there? Are they in any particular danger, and is there a threshold level that we reach where we would notify citizens? Well, number one, you can go to escambiaso.com. We have a section there where you can pull down, it's one of the drop downs, and you can go to the CAD responses, which computer assisted dispatch. They're time delayed, but you can find out what that response was for in whatever particular area of the county. So it helps you monitor crime within Escambia County. Second part of your question is do we ever call the citizens? Only at the time where we believe that there is some danger to the surrounding community. Let's say that we had an armed suspect that was fleeing on foot and we're in a foot chase, or gunshots or something has been exchanged, and so our general community is at risk. Then of course you would be notified then, probably by loudspeaker, by one of our supervisors going through your neighborhood. Occasionally we do callbacks, but that's a rare thing. So again, you would be notified if there's any imminent danger in your area, but we don't do that as a matter of course. Denise asked the questions about the sheriff's posse. And wants to know about the requirements for the insurance, etc. Denise, that's an excellent question. especially in today's austere budget times, for a citizen to be concerned that we're spending money wisely. When I came in as sheriff, a bunch of our folks who had been around the sheriff's office for a while had been a member of a sheriff's posse years ago, and it was disbanded because of lack of interest. Denise, that is purely volunteer. Does it cost us any extra money? It comes under the Florida Sheriff's Association. We're self-insured. Prior to my, agreeing to bringing the posse back, it's not quite how sheriff's posses used to be, but very similar. One of the first things I did was ask that question, well, what's it going to cost? Why? Because, we do a lot of things here at the sheriff's office, and if it costs money, we want to be able to tell the citizens, what are we getting on a rate of return? Our posse right now is primarily ceremonial. We don't, again, it doesn't cost us any money. We don't buy the horses. We don't feed the horses. We don't take the horses to veterinarians. It's truly a volunteer group. It's a mixture of sworn officers and some that are retired. And we also have just some civilian volunteers. You'll notice, you can tell the difference by the polo shirts that they wear. Law enforcement officers, whether current or former, will have on their shirts the sheriff's star. It'll say Office of the Sheriff. Those who are civilians, meaning non-sworn, that are just volunteers of the posse, will have a different emblem. It's the state of Florida, and it says Escambia County Sheriff's Office. So that's how you tell the difference between a civilian and a sworn officer. And again, all of the gear that they have is the old gear that the Sheriff's Office bought probably 25 years ago now at least, that we had in storage. All the blankets that say ECSO, the saddles, etc. All of that again was provided by a sheriff long before I ever came around. But I assure you, Denise, obviously the underlying theme to your question was, if we're having such austere budget times, what's the sheriff doing, having a posse? Denise, that doesn't cost the citizens a dime.
Remember, you can also email your questions and ask the sheriff at escambiaso.com. We'll be back next week right here on Blab TV Tuesday night at 8 p.m.